silent protest. Find out what brought them to campus.
Then find out how much of an impact CSU has on the Northern Colorado economy.
Then find out why businesses come and go in Fort Collins. All this and more starting now on CTV News 11.
Good evening, Rams, and thank you for joining us. We begin with the breaking news out of Parmalee Hall this afternoon. I'm Giselle Baer.
And I'm Lauren Orcutt. A fire that started around 4 o'clock this afternoon broke out after food set off the alarms. The fire was put out and there were no injuries.
This morning, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, also known as PETA, took part in a silent protest at President McConnell's speech at the International Symposium.
The protest came after they urged the university to stop experiments on birds. In a press release, they argue that the university should pay closer attention to the action of CSU professor Gregory Ebel, who conducted the experiments. PETA argues that the study isn't having any benefits to CSU.
The woman who was found dead in a Windsor driveway was identified as 37-year-old Bree Ann Boydillo by the Weld County Coroner's Office. The cause of Boydillo's death has not been released as they are still waiting on lab results. The man suspected in the shooting turned himself in on Monday morning to Weld County authorities.
A Greeley man and woman have been charged in the connection to killing a Greeley musician. 48-year-old Kevin Eastman was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of possession of a weapon by a previous offender. Eastman was charged with the murder this afternoon and has a bond hearing set for this Tuesday.
With troubling issues of bias and hate on campuses around the country, Syracuse University students have taken a stand with its protest. The ASCSU has just passed a resolution to show solidarity with Syracuse students. Live from the Senate is live reporter Kenneth Frederick. Kenneth, what's going on with the Senate?
Thanks, Lauren and Giselle. Last night, the Senate passed a bill standardizing the procedures for removing a senator from office. As well, they passed a resolution showing solidarity for Syracuse student protesters. Many of the senators believed that this resolution was necessary, given our own hate and bias-related incidents on our very own campus.
The ASCSU is standing in solidarity with student protesters from Syracuse University. They also sent a bill on the rules for the removal of senators to its committees. Syracuse University has had several bias-related incidents on its campus in the last year. Syracuse students are in the 11th day of protesting, taking over a building with a sit-in and recently shutting down 2 blocks of city streets near their campus. Student protesters say that they will continue to protest until their list of demands are met. Many senators cited bias-related incidents on CSU's campus for their support of the protest.
Years and recent months, there have been many bias-related incidents on campus, so I think that a simple protest is not too much to ask to endorse. I think that this bill is very appropriate in this time of age.
The ASCSU passed the resolution supporting the protesters in a vote of 26 to 2 to 9. As well, a bill passed to standardize the process of removing senators from the ASCSU. Currently, some of the academic colleges have their own rules for removing the senators that represent them. The bill put forward would have the Supreme Court act as an unbiased third party for all colleges. Some senators complain that the colleges should have their own say in how to remove representatives and that the bill protects senators from the judgment of their colleges. Others agreed that the rules of removal should be standardized and that the use of a third party would be beneficial.
Whatever is happening, there could be discrepancies that aren't noticed on one side or the other, and that's why I believe it is absolutely necessary for there to be an unbiased third party to be able to judge this.
The Senate passed the bill with a majority in favor of the Supreme Court's help in the process of removing senators.
This bill still doesn't change the way that the Senate can remove a president from office. It just centralizes the way for senators to be removed from the Senate.
So what's going to happen in the future with the bill for removing senators?
The bill is going to go to all 4 of the Senate's committees, and if it gets out of the committees, it'll be voted on in the Senate next week. Reporting live from the Senate, I'm Senate correspondent Kenneth Frederick, CTV 11 News.
The city of Fort Collins is asking for feedback on oil and gas regulations. The city is looking to inform residents about oil and gas development and potential regulations in the city. There are 2 public meetings that are set on March 2nd at the Lincoln Center and March 5th at the Fort Collins Senior Center.
$4 billion. That's about how much money Northern Colorado universities are contributing to the economy in Larimer and Weld counties. The study, which found that Colorado State University, University of Northern Colorado, Ames Community College, and Front Range added to the local economy in the 2017-2018 fiscal year. The report also found that the largest contributing factor to the economy are college students. Fort Collins is a hub for food, coffee, beer, and of course pizza, among many other things. But with so much competition, how can businesses stay afloat? I decided to see exactly why so many businesses open and close in what seems like only a few months. Fort Collins is home to upwards of 160,000 people, from families to college students who call this town home. With its popularity of being a hub for Northern Coloradoans to visit, means businesses want to move here and hopefully stay.
We've been consistently a growing community with more population coming, and that creates more disposable income, particularly for retailers and restaurants.
But staying here isn't always the case.
Retail and restaurants can sustain rent only in so much as they can generate sales.
And for a business to stay afloat, they need a decent income and customers to help them compete with the high restaurant and retail competition. And when one door closes in Fort Collins, another one tends to open in no time. Now, this is because there is an oversaturation of businesses and restaurants in town. In fact, within just 2019 alone, 22 businesses opened in town, with 15 closures following suit. However, this doesn't mean the economic health of Fort Collins is in jeopardy.
It's part of the natural evolution of a place and evolution of the entrepreneurs often that are behind these establishments, trying to figure out how they can stay relevant, right, in a changing world.
There definitely won't be a shortage of places to eat, drink, or shop in Fort Collins. But what isn't guaranteed is that your favorite joint will be able to last through the ever-growing competition. You know, Giselle, just this past month, a restaurant and a nightclub are actually coming to take over a building right off of College, which was Mainline Ale House. Now, the reason that they closed is simply because rent is too high. Now, I'll be curious to see if this new restaurant and nightclub will beat the odds and stay in town.
I would be curious too, especially since the bar scene is very popular.
Yep,
so.
Definitely. Now, the city of Thornton is set to begin construction on a controversial water pipeline in March. Larimer County Commissioners struck down the building of the pipeline about a year ago, but the construction is set to begin in Windsor and Johnstown, where the jurisdiction of the county doesn't apply. The pipeline, however, still can't be built in unincorporated parts of Larimer County.
Reporter Remy Kelbel has a unique way for veterans to find some peace of mind. Remy?
Thanks, Giselle and Lauren. There's a writing workshop here at CSU specifically used to help veterans transition back from the war. I spoke with one of the members who leads the Veterans Writing Workshop.
There's a club at CSU in the English department, which is used to help veterans transition back from civilian life through the art of writing.
I got here, I was told that this is something they're trying to get off the ground.
A woman struggling with transition was afraid to open up. But with the writing workshop, opening up finally became a little easier.
I've heard from some of our veterans, and I'm thinking kind of specifically of some of the Vietnam era folks, how they were silenced from the moment they got back. And this group and this writing has been some of the first times they've been allowed to open up and express themselves.
Through the process of sharing their writing, the veterans have an easier time talking about their past, providing healing together.
She said, you know, I've never written about any of my experiences over there. Not sure I want to do it. Not sure I'm a writer. Not sure this is a good fit. And then she kind of took that leap of faith and jumped in and started writing. And her work has just been beautiful, just really incredible.
Really?
And she's blossomed as a writer and is an integral part of the group.
This group allows veterans to share their experiences and helps them in the process.
Just be part of that shared healing. And I think the shared healing from some of the shared trauma of war has been really powerful.
Writing becomes an outlet for them and creates a community they can rely on.
As much as we're a writing group, we're a community building group first. So we try to have a space that's as safe and vulnerable as possible.
You know, it's amazing to hear that these veterans are opening up, and this workshop is helping them transition.
Well, don't go away just yet, because coming up after the break, Krista McAllister went down under for food for her next adventure. Krista?
That's right, I went to a restaurant that is bringing the Outback to Fort Collins. Find out what I have coming up next on CTV News 11.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry's dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
What's poppin', Rams? I'm Krista McAllister, and I'm here to fill you in on all of the spice and entertainment. So let's get started. Living in a college town, I would expect a lot of restaurants to be open for those late night cravings. Fat Shack has taken up this role upon themselves and is even making moves to share their interesting food creations with the world. Last May, the Colorado-based restaurant struck up a deal with Mark Cuban from Shark Tank in order to further their business. The deal of a $250,000 investment for 15% of their business has allowed them to continue to open more stores. So if you're feeling adventurous one night, you'll now have more options for Fat Shack locations where you can try out their sandwiches topped with mac and cheese, among other things. Sometimes I laugh so hard that it feels like I'm getting a workout in. So if you need something to laugh off those calories from Fat Shack, this next group will knock your socks off.
There is no such thing as an error, at least when it comes to Rams improv comedy. The 2-year-old improv troupe at CSU meets twice a week in order to perfect their imperfections.
Being able to take those errors and build them up into not an error and actually just part of those scenes and being able to create something more funny off of that. When kind of errors like that happen, you definitely are able to develop from it and actually make the audience laugh more from your mistakes because you recognize there's a mistake, but you don't make it a mistake.
Although improv may just seem like an over-the-top conversation, there are quite a few skills that the members practice to improve their scenes.
One of the hardest parts about improv is feeling comfortable and just embracing the crazy.
It really boils down to just being confident in yourself and what you're saying and knowing that you yourself will be great no matter what you do.
Audience participation and wild scene suggestions keeps the troupe on their toes, but not so much that it takes away the fun.
I personally think the point of improv is definitely just to have a good time. I think of it as my kind of therapy relaxation of the week, and it's kind of an escape from everything that is happening in our hectic lives and be able to come in here for an hour and a half and just breathe.
Even if you don't want to perform on stage, many people can benefit from improv.
The skills that'll help you in your life because everyone needs improv once in a while.
If you want to see the Ram Improv Comedy Troupe perform live, you can see their first show of the semester tomorrow at 7:30 in the evening on the first floor of Clark in room 101. Thinking back to our childhood years, we all know how emotionally traumatizing it is if one of your stuffed animals gets hurt. One 6-year-old recently took this pain to the extreme. Yesterday, a little girl from Fort Collins called 911 to report a scratch that hurt her stuffed bunny. The girl called from a disconnected phone line, and although the dispatcher was able to find a Band-Aid for the bunny, the station kindly asked that all stuffed animal-related emergencies be dealt with at home. And now it's time for Krista's Catch, where I'll be talking about my favorite catch of the week. For today's edition, I'm reviewing Fort Collins' version of The Land Down Under, the Waltzing Kangaroo. When I walked into the store, I was hit by an unfamiliar but delicious smell. And now I have no idea what that smell was, but it definitely prepared me for the unique experience that was in the store. The handcrafted Australian food stuck out to me from behind their cases. There were savory pies, a variety of drinks, and a lot of sweet treats that I've never tried before. Fun fact, the Waltzing Kangaroo is the only restaurant in Fort Collins that serves Australian coffee. For my review, I decided to try one of the restaurant's best sellers, the steak and bacon pie. Now, I don't say this lightly, but step aside mashed potatoes because I have found my new favorite comfort food. The crust was so flaky that you could tell it was handmade, and there were large pieces of steaks held together by velvety cheese. As is true with most pies, I was a little worried about the filling to crust ratio, but this pie knocked it out of the park with an airy crust that balances out the meaty filling. The Waltzing Kangaroo delivers, so I enjoyed this treat from home, and I was clearly not the only one who was interested in the pie. After eating it, I just wanted to take a long nap, which I think is the marker of a good meal. Based on my experience there, I am giving the Waltzing Kangaroo a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The food was great and definitely unique, which I think would be true of anything that this restaurant is serving up. Well, Rams, that's all that I've got for you for this week. But stick around after the break to hear Allie Small tell you if you should pull out those jackets or the shorts for this weekend's weather.
You're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rams, and welcome back from the break. I'm your weather anchor, Allie Small. Let's get right into it with current conditions. As you can see, it's currently 41 degrees and a slight wind about 8 miles per hour, and the sunset took place earlier this evening at 5:48 p.m. As you can see, today started off a little gloomy. You can see a bit of an overcast, but typical Colorado. Right away, it got bright blue, the mountains were blue. Everyone was wearing t-shirts or light jackets, enjoying the plaza today, but as you can see, there was a pretty heavy breeze, but that didn't stop people from wearing t-shirts and enjoying the sun. As for tonight's lows, as you can see down the I-25 corridor, it's about scattered 20s with the exception of Pueblo with 19. And then if we look over on the east side, we've got scattered 20s again with the exception of Lyman with 19. And then let's look over on the west side towards the mountains. Scattered temps, Gunnison with the lowest at 1 degree and Grand Junction with the warmest at 24 degrees. As for tomorrow's forecast, the high will be 56 with a low of 28. It'll be sunny and dry, 7 mile per hour wind, and the sunset will take place at 5:49 p.m. If you have a chance to take a hike after class, I'd say do it. Just bring a light coat. As for tomorrow's highs, we've got scattered 50s down the I-25 corridor with the exception of Pueblo with 60. And then we're going to look over on the east side with scattered 50s again, but Lamar with 62. And then let's look back over on the mountains. Scatter numbers again with Grand Junction at its highest again with 53 and Gunnison with the lowest of 36. As for the 5-day forecast, it's pretty warm all weekend. So if you can break in those hikes on Friday and Saturday, it's going to be about the high of 56 and the high of 59 on Saturday.
But make sure, like I said, squeeze those hikes in with a light coat if you want, because on Sunday we're getting rain. However, it's still going to be pretty warm with a high of 47 compared to what we've been seeing. And then we'll see the sun again on Monday and Tuesday with a high of 42 and 46. That's all I have for you today. Stay tuned. For James Hall with sports.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for 75 years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like, if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Howdy, Rams. The men's basketball team flew out to San Diego to take on the Aztecs in a thriller, and the women's basketball team is playing right now. I'm James Hall, and let's jump into the one and only Thursday night wrap-up. On Tuesday, in San Diego, the men's basketball team held their own against the number 5 ranked San Diego State Aztecs. Despite losing 2 out of their last 5, with a couple close games against the bottom of the conference, this was a good look for the Rams against some of the nation's top talent. As we see here, Malachi Flynn is going to try and make something happen, a little footwork. He's going to go over and find Nolan Narain wide open for a 3 over Nico Corvacho. He's letting everyone know before it even falls. Here's Narain again. He's going to see what Matt has to do here. He's going to find Flynn down low, find him back up at the top of the key for yet another 3. Now, the Rams not looking to be beat quite yet. Isaiah Stevens is going to find a way to make some space. Actually, David Roddy is going to be the one that's open, and he's going to get the 2 points down in the paint. Now, like they were trying to do last time, maybe get a little too fancy with the footwork? I think so. Hyman Edwards is going to get the steal. He's going to take a double take. Doesn't want to get blocked like last week. This one's going in just fine. And now Isaiah Stevens, much like the one with David Roddy, instead he's going to open himself up for a nice shot there. But when your team is ranked number 5, like Flynn's is, you can very nicely take a nonchalant last shot. Even with Nico Corvacho putting up 17 and coming down with 7 boards, it wasn't enough to power past the Aztecs. Malachi Flynn willed his team back to life late in the game with his 15 second half points, leading San Diego State to a 60-66 victory. Going close to home in Colorado Springs, the women's basketball team is taking on Air Force to close out their season. The current score is 22-21 at about halftime, and so it's a little closer than what we were expecting here at CTV with them winning by 20 the first time, but there's still another half to go, so we will have to see how that turns out. Now, the last time these two teams met up was here at Moby Arena. The Falcons were led by their star player, Kaylin Imel, who ended the game with 17 points and 8 rebounds. While the Falcons can hope that Imel is repeating this performance, the Rams are thinking the same about Mackenzie Ellis. Ellis, who has been a team leader all season, was able to put up similar numbers with 19 points along with 8 rebounds. The Rams came away victorious at home, outscoring the Falcons 40-60, and are looking to head into the conference championship with a dub against a team who has only won 3 of their 13 home games all season. The Women's Mountain West Tournament will begin this Sunday in Las Vegas. Jumping into the weekend watch list, we have 2 more teams whose regular seasons are coming to an end. Sticking with basketball, the men are taking on the Falcons at Moby Arena this Saturday. Air Force only sits above San Jose State and Wyoming in the conference, so the last time CSU played them, it wasn't that close of a game. As we see here is going to be Jamal Scotty, I believe. He's going to go and get some points down in the paint, which is what they like to do. Here it is. He's going to try it again, but it's going to end up getting stolen for a nice physical layup there on the transition. Once again, he's going to see an open player down here on the corner. Nope, reverse layup. Again, going for the paint. Now, what we're going to see here is the patented ball movement by the Rams, and the Falcons are going to leave Chris Martin wide open. They definitely need to work on that 3-point defense for this matchup coming up on the weekend. And then here we go and see that the Falcons can actually do what they see, going around the horn for a 3 by Sid Tomez. But Isaiah Stevens also can follow suit with what he sees, and he's going to end with a reverse layup on his own. The Rams showed some life earlier in this week, and that loss to San Diego State should get them fired up to take on an in-state rival as they pay tribute to their seniors. The Rams are hopeful that they will be headed to Vegas with one more game in the win column. The men's Mountain West tournament starts on Wednesday, March 4th, right after the women's tournament ends. Rounding out the watch list is men's hockey. They have 3 games this weekend. One of them is tonight at 8:30 against UNLV, and the other 2 being against Grand Canyon University on Friday and Saturday at 8 and 7:30 at night. Kicking things off with the game that is set to start tonight, the Rams are going to have to keep an eye on Paxton Malone. Malone has had a heck of a season so far, picking up 27 total points for the Runnin' Rebels. Malone distributed his points between 18 goals and 9 assists. Now looking at the 2-game series against the Antelopes, Declan Carter is the man to circle. Carter leads GCU with 17 points, 10 being goals and 7 being assists. He has been leading the Antelopes all season and will do his best to upset CSU's senior night. Now, for my favorite part of the show, fact or fiction. I have yet to be able to answer all 11 questions, but I am hoping that changes today. So without further delay, start the timer. First question. CSU's men's hockey will win on their senior night. Fact. They have a phenomenal team. They're starting to come back into themselves, and I really believe against the Antelopes, they have a really good chance to come away with a victory. Number 2, Chris Harris Jr. will retire a Bronco. Fiction. It doesn't seem like the Broncos really want him back. It doesn't seem like he's fully thrilled on going back, so I'm going to say that's not going to happen. 3, the NFL should expand the playoffs. Fiction. I like it the way it is. Stop messing with playoffs. All sports. Done. Number 4, Jameis Winston is a franchise quarterback. Fiction. I'm not explaining that one. 5, CSU basketball will dominate their senior night. Fact. We just went over it. They're at the bottom of the division with Air Force is at the bottom of the conference. They're going to do just fine. Number 6, Justin Simmons will get franchise tagged. Fact. They want him. He wants to play for the Broncos. It's going to be that way. Esports is a sport. Fiction. Sorry. Got to get up and do something. 8, the Patriots dynasty is over. I don't get to answer that one. I really want to answer that one, but I don't. So, to keep updated on everything over the weekend, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at sports_CTV. I'm James Hall, and have a great night, Rams.